What if I told you that one of America's most iconic sports leagues, the NFL, wasn't created by athletes or even by passionate fans, but by a handful of wealthy, visionary families? These families, armed with old money and a willingness to gamble on what was once considered a fringe sport, transformed football into the multi-billion-dollar empire we know today. They weren't just team owners, they were architects, shaping not just the league's foundations, but also its cultural significance. Names like Rooney, Mara, Halas, and Hunt are legendary in NFL history, but their stories are far more intricate than most fans realize. Did you know that Art Rooney, the founder of the Pittsburgh Steelers, once used horse racing winnings to fund his team? Or that the Maras, owners of the New York Giants, started with a $500 investment back in 1925? And what about George Halas, whose influence went far beyond owning the Chicago Bears? He was instrumental in crafting the league's rules and identity. The NFL's rise wasn't smooth. These families faced massive obstacles, financial losses, public skepticism, and even outright hostility from fans of college football, which dominated the early 20th century. But they pressed on, driven by their belief in the potential of professional football. Behind every touchdown and every sold-out stadium lies a story of risk, resilience, and power struggles that shaped the league's destiny. How did these families create the NFL as we know it? What challenges did they overcome? And how do their legacies continue to shape the league today? Get ready for a deep dive into the untold stories of the dynasties who built an empire from the ground up. Stories that reveal the true power behind the NFL's bright lights and roaring crowds. The NFL wasn't born in boardrooms or through corporate buyouts. It was forged by a few wealthy families who believed in football's potential when no one else did. Among these pioneering dynasties are the Rooneys, the Maras, and the Halas family, whose names are synonymous with the league's history and enduring legacy. The Rooney family's journey began in 1933, when Art Rooney, a lifelong sports enthusiast, bought the Pittsburgh Steelers for $2,500. At the time, football was a struggling sport with little national recognition. Rooney, nicknamed the Chief, wasn't just an owner. He was the team's biggest supporter. Over the years, the Rooneys built the Steelers into one of the most successful franchises in NFL history, winning 6 Super Bowl titles. Then there's the Mara family, who have been at the helm of the New York Giants since 1925. Tim Mara, a bookmaker by trade, saw an opportunity to invest in professional football during its infancy. With just $500, he founded the Giants, a team that would go on to become one of the league's cornerstone franchises. Today, Tim's grandsons, John Mara and Steve Tisch, continue to oversee the team, ensuring that the family's legacy remains intact. Another integral figure in NFL history is George Halas, the founder of the Chicago Bears and one of the league's co-creators. Known as Papa Bear, Halas wasn't just an owner. He was a player, coach, and innovator who helped write the league's rules. The Bears, under Halas's leadership, became a dominant force in football, setting the stage for what the NFL would eventually become. These families weren't just team owners. They were visionaries who saw potential where others saw risk. They turned their passion into action, building the foundations of a league that would grow to dominate American sports culture. The families who created the NFL didn't just face challenges. They stared down financial ruin, public indifference, and even the threat of extinction for the league itself. The NFL's early days were a far cry from the billion-dollar behemoth it is today. And for the Rooneys, Maras, and Halas family, keeping their teams alive often required immense personal sacrifice. In the 1920s and 1930s, professional football was overshadowed by college football, which drew larger crowds and greater public interest. For the Maras, this meant that the New York Giants often played in front of half-empty stadiums. To make ends meet, Tim Mara poured his personal savings into the team. Even when losses mounted, his faith in the league's future was unwavering, but the financial pressure was relentless. The Rooneys faced similar struggles in Pittsburgh. Despite Art Rooney's passion for football, the Steelers were perennial underperformers in their early years, and the team operated at a loss for decades. Rooney famously used his gambling winnings from horse races to keep the team afloat, a gamble that paid off when the Steelers began their historic run in the 1970s. For George Halas, the challenge was not just building a team, but building the league itself. In 1922, Halas and his partners spent $100 to buy the Chicago Bears, then known as the Decatur Staleys. But the team's survival required constant innovation. Halas organized halftime entertainment to attract fans and personally funded promotional efforts to keep the league in the public eye. These families faced countless setbacks, but their resilience and creativity ensured that their teams and the NFL would survive. Without their determination, the league might never have made it past its infancy. The NFL's transformation from a struggling league to a cultural juggernaut was driven by visionary decisions made by its founding families during key moments in its history. One pivotal moment came in the 1950s, when the league secured its first national television contracts. George Halas was a driving force behind this move, recognizing the potential of television to bring football into millions of homes. These deals didn't just increase the league's visibility, they revolutionized how sports were consumed in America, turning football into a national pastime. The 1966 merger between the NFL and the AFL, spearheaded by Lamar Hunt, was another turning point. Hunt, founder of the Kansas City Chiefs and a member of the influential Hunt family, played a key role in uniting the rival leagues. This merger paved the way for the creation of the Super Bowl, which has since become the most watched annual sporting event in the United States. For the Rooneys, the Steelers' dominance in the 1970s symbolized the league's arrival as a powerhouse. Under the leadership of Chuck Noll and a roster filled with future Hall of Famers, the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, capturing the nation's attention and cementing Pittsburgh's place as a football town. The Maras also played a role in legitimizing the NFL. The New York Giants' success in the 1980s, highlighted by 2 Super Bowl victories under Bill Parcells, showcased the league's competitive balance and entertainment value. These key moments, driven by the foresight and efforts of the NFL's founding families, turned the league into an economic and cultural powerhouse. The families who created the NFL aren't just relics of the past, they remain integral to the league's identity and direction today. The Rooneys, for example, are celebrated for their leadership and commitment to diversity. Art Rooney, too, the current owner of the Steelers, continues to honor his family's legacy, with the Rooney Rule, implemented in 2003, serving as a groundbreaking initiative to promote diversity in NFL leadership roles. The Maras, too, remain central to the league's fabric. John Mara, co-owner of the Giants, is one of the most respected voices in the NFL. His influence ensures that the Giants remain a model of stability and tradition, even as the league evolves. The Halas family, through the Chicago Bears, carries on the vision of Papa Bear George Halas. The team, still owned by the Halas-McCaskey family, embodies the rich history and resilience that define the NFL. Virginia Halas-McCaskey, George's daughter, is a living link to the league's origins and a symbol of its enduring legacy. These families' continued presence in the league ensures that the NFL remains rooted in its traditions, even as it embraces modernization. Their influence goes beyond ownership. They are stewards of the game, shaping its future while preserving its past. The story of the NFL is, at its core, a story of families. The Rooneys, Maras, Halas family, and others didn't just create a league. They built a cultural phenomenon that unites millions of fans every Sunday. Their vision, sacrifices, and resilience turned a struggling sport into a multi-billion-dollar empire. But their legacy isn't just about success. It's about overcoming challenges and taking risks when the odds were against them. These families invested not just their money, but their identities into the league, leaving a mark that continues to shape its future. As we enjoy today's NFL, it's worth asking, how much of the league's success is owed to these pioneering families? And as new owners and corporations enter the fray, will the NFL stay true to its roots? One thing is certain, the legacies of these families will forever be tied to the game. The NFL isn't just about touchdowns and trophies. It's about the visionaries who believed in football when no one else did.